Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first one is titled, "You want me to work on the drive-thru even though I told you I'm hard of hearing and I'm unable to do it? Sure, no worries. A long time ago when I was around 18 I used to work at McDonald's. My job there was to run the orders, which basically consisted of getting the food from a tray next to the kitchen and putting it into the McDonald's bags with napkins etc. and handing it out to the customer either in drive-thru or in the restaurant. I was pretty good at doing this. Now, I've had mild moderate hearing loss in both ears for as long as I can remember. I do wear hearing aids as well to help. I can hear without them, but if you don't have a loud clear voice there's no chance I am able to comfortably have a conversation with you. In saying that, even if you do have a loud and clear voice, if we are in a loud location I will struggle. My managers at McDonald's knew I had hearing loss. Behind the counters it was always so loud. Machines were constantly beeping, other workers yelling jobs to each other etc. They were generally okay with me and I was generally okay with the jobs I had to do. I never had any issues. One day I went into work, signed in and went to see my manager. I assumed I would be running again, but we always had to check in with them before our shift. My manager, let's call her Karen, told me I would be trained on the drive-thru that day. I wasn't aware of what this consisted of and always tried to have a go before deciding I couldn't do something first. Now Karen put me to work with another girl, Lisa, who knew the drive-thru protocol well, and left us together. Lisa gave me a headset, headphones and a mic and showed me which buttons to use etc. Now here's where it gets a little hard for me. I wear hearing aids that go behind my ear. That means that all sound that goes into my ears comes from there. The headphones did not comfortably sit on top of the back of my ears and rested in the usual place of just on top of the ear opening. Now straight away I knew I would have trouble. I tried putting the back of my hearing aids in the middle of my ear and put the headphones on top. I then tried taking them off completely but nothing worked. Regardless of what I did, I just couldn't clearly hear the customer ordering from the speaker. It didn't help that my hearing aids pick up so much background noise. So I could hear the kitchen beeps and yells of the staff louder than the customers ordering. Basically it made me feel really embarrassed and ashamed and I just felt like complete crap. Every customer I had that shift had to drive to the window and I had to take their order that way. Which was still hard for me. It was also just embarrassing to have to do that. After my shift I explained all of this to Karen quite explicitly. I said I did not want to be put on the drive-thru mainly because I just physically could not do that job and that I would hold up the drive-thru and ruin their 3-minute drive-thru rule. This just meant cars needed to be in and out of the drive-thru in under 3 minutes. This is something staff got yelled at a lot for at McDonald's. She said yeah okay and I went home. I was annoyed that I couldn't do the job but felt okay because I figured my manager understood. I had a shift the next day. I signed in and went to see the manager. Turns out Karen was working again. I said, "Hello, where am I working today?" She very abruptly said, "In the drive-thru," and threw the headset at me. I quickly reminded her as nicely as possible that I couldn't do that job. She said, "Chemical uprising, you're not the manager here." "I am. So you will work where I tell you to work." We went back and forth a little bit and it ended when she told me to stop causing a scene, to shut up and get to work. I had never felt so much anger towards someone I barely knew in my entire life. I swallowed my anger and said, "You know what, Karen, sure." She told me to hurry up and get into the booth. For the next 3 hours I proceeded to duck up immensely. Not on purpose mind you, but just because I couldn't ducking here. This turned most 3-minute drive-thru orders into 5 to 10. I could tell Karen was getting annoyed as she kept coming into the booth and yelling at me to hurry up as I was slowing the drive-thru down. I found out that shift from a coworker that the managers get incentives from the store owner if they get the most cars through the drive-thru in under 3 minutes each month. So if one manager gets 167 cars through in under 3 minutes that month and another gets 260, the winning manager who got 260 would get a cash bonus. It made me laugh because Karen would definitely not win that month. At the end of my shift I walked out with my head held high. Meanwhile Karen looked so upset. She didn't say anything as I left with a cheery, "See you next shift, Karen," and waved to my friends as I left. My co-workers told me that Karen was chewed out by the store manager for having the worst drive-through score out of the 10 restaurants in the area. She blamed me instantly. The next time I had a shift, I told the store manager what happened and she was put under review. She shortly left after that. Just a quick word of advice to people who work with hearing-impaired humans: please people, if you know someone that is deaf or hard of hearing, give them a damn break. If I could hear, it would be so awesome, and I would want to hear all of the things. I don't turn my ears off on purpose, I promise. I always wish to be able to hear normally, but have accepted that I probably never will, and that okay. I just hate when I have a run-in with someone who degrades and mocks me. It's a damn shitty feeling. The next one is titled, "Ugly Models Wants All Photos Retouched for Free." When I was first starting out as a photographer, I had a system worked out in my mind. If I asked a model to model, it was free if they were okay with not being paid. Obviously, if a model asked me to photograph them, they paid like any other client. There was a guy the first asked to model for me who I had never worked with before. In his photos he appeared decently attractive, but it was a swimsuit theme and he had a great body, so face was less important. However, when he showed up, I was rather surprised to find that he looked near nothing like his photos. This guy was not attractive. The tip of his nose was oddly humped and pointed downward. He had an extremely soft jawline, to the point where his neck and face were near morphed into one, and he had some of the worst acne I've ever seen, and no makeup to boot. I figured I could Photoshop his face to be attractive, and that would be that. He was already on location, as was the second model, and I just decided to make it work. He was extremely happy with the photos and said he had a lot of fun and would love to work with me again. I, however, was less than thrilled with being duped and his modeling ability and had no further plans to work with him. Fast forward a month or two, he asks for headshots. I sent him my pricing, extremely low as I was so new, and he accepts the $50 or whatever for headshots. Since these were headshots, photoshopping him to be attractive took even longer than last time. I sent him 3 to 4 fully edited photos and he was quite happy. So happy, in fact, that he wanted to use them for his modeling portfolio to submit to agencies. This meant he wanted the full resolution images to make prints for free. This is when he realized I would not be sending him the full resolution images, and he would have to buy prints from me. The idea of buying prints was apparently new and unacceptable. He began to email me incessantly, demanding the photos for free, and that he now wanted all the photos, and not said but implied, retouching included. When email didn't work, he began texting and calling my cell phone, and calling my family's home phone. Finally, he showed up at my house. My studio was in my home, demanding to come in and talk with me over how unfair it was that he had to pay for prints and he only got 4 out of the 100 images we took. Finally, I gave in to his request. I emailed him all of his photos. All unedited, making them completely useless to him and for his modeling portfolio. I decided that instead of continuing the trend of photoshopping him to be attractive and allowing him to dupe other photographers, it was easier and far more fulfilling to simply send all the unedited photos and let the photographers know what they were getting into ahead of time. I never heard from him again, and my guess is that my photos never saw the light of day. The next one is titled, "Prescription for Ice." You got it. Back when I was in high school, we had a real hole for a school nurse. He would refuse to give girls tampons, pads, chew people out for leaving class to come see him, and was just an all-around dick. I was a flag girl one semester and at practice the night before had managed to mess up my wrist and was icing it as much as possible to make sure I was good to go for the next practice. Well, the next day my ice packs had pretty much melted to room temp, and so I decided to pop by the nurse at lunch and get an ice pack. I get in, ask him for an ice pack, and he immediately rolled his eyes and asked if I had a prescription for ice. Flabbergasted, I told him I didn't, and he sent me out with a huff saying I needed to come back with a prescription. I went home and was telling my dad about the ridiculous fact that he wanted a prescription for ice, and he was upset. Funnily enough, my dad is a doctor, but an optometrist. He, being my inspiration for any and all MC, immediately broke out his prescription pad and wrote me a prescription and attached a note for the nurse to call him with any questions. Now at this point my wrist was pretty much fine, but it was more about the principle of the matter than anything. So the next day I waltz into the nurse's office and ask for ice. He clearly remembered me as he rolled his eyes again and asked whether I had gotten a prescription. I have never been so smug as when I whipped out the little paper and saw his face turn bright red. He was completely silent while he dumped the ice into the little Ziploc baggie and basically tossed it at me. The next one is titled, Lady Gets Too Comfortable. So I manage a table tennis association club room stadium with 18 courts that is open to the public to hire and use. People can basically walk in and pay a court fee and start playing. For adults a one-off entry is $7 per person and they can play for as long as they like on the day. Or if they want to come regularly then they can purchase season tickets which are sold for only $55 for 3 months unlimited play for adults and $30 for students, so pretty much way less than $1 a day. We also have a 1-month option $30 per $18 and a 1-year option $200 per $120. Rates are converted to approximate USD to conceal location as we are only one of 2 exclusive table tennis facilities in the country and would be easy to find. Our facilities were built to international tournament standards and we regularly hold national level events. One day this older couple walks through the door looking in awe of our stadium as it is a lot bigger inside than it looks from the outside. Excited, they come up to the window and inquire about how to start playing and commenting how great they found such an awesome facility. Now we are a non-profit facility and main goal is to promote the sport, so we are happy when anyone new walks in. This couple cannot speak English, but no matter as I can speak Mandarin to them, and they were ecstatic when I did. I start going through all the different options, whether they are just going to play once or if they want to play regularly. Usually people opt to just pay the one-off fee to try for the first time and decide if they want to buy a season ticket on the next visit, and that's what they did. All is fine and the wife explains it's just for her husband as she can't handle exercise, but she will just hang out in our cafe area and watch him play. Sure, no worries. He goes in and plays with some other members already there and has a great time. So 3 hours later the husband is tired and they come back to the service counter and asks if they can buy him a season ticket. I said sure can and asked which option they wanted, and of course I had to explain everything again and the following convo ensues. Lady, so it's $30 for 3 months? Me, no, that's the student junior rate. Adults are $55. Oh, we go to English classes so we are students. Totally serious and not in a joking manner. Me, no, this is for full-time students and really only for young people. Isn't there any special discount for the elderly? Me, unfortunately no, sorry. But this adult rate is still really inexpensive, it's less than $1 a day. What if we bought 6 months in one go, can you give us cheaper? Me, no sorry, I can't manipulate the prices as I don't set them, they are set by the association, so it's the same for everybody. We are not a market and prices aren't negotiable. We have a 1-year pass and that's even cheaper overall. Okay, we'll get him 3-month pass then, but can you credit the money we've paid for the one-off entry today towards the season ticket? Wanting to just finish up the interaction, I agree and ended up refunding them the $7 and created the 3-month ticket for the husband. A win for them, so they stop haggling. All should be well, right? For the next 3 months they both come every single day, from the minute we open in the afternoon till dinner time for about 5 hours 7 days a week. Not a problem, table tennis enthusiast, great, husband has a good time. But each day the wife gets more and more comfortable with taking advantage of our facilities. We provide free Wi-Fi so most people connect to it with their phones. The wife does that at the start, but would go on Skype and talk to her friends and relatives overseas loudly in our cafe area. A couple of weeks in she starts bringing her laptop, plugs in the power supply and sets herself up on one of our cafe tables to use Skype and streams Chinese dramas. Her husband loves the sport and is good for his health, so we put up with it. I know, should have nipped it in the bud there, hindsight is 20/20. Also starts to bring a kettle so she can boil water for tea, after being politely declined the use of our cafe kitchen facilities. A month passes and now she starts to come here for showers, which is for paying members only, but that isn't the issue. The problem is when she goes for a shower she would lock the female change room door, which means no other female members are able to use the toilets. She would proceed to shower for 30 minutes, and we start getting complaints from actual paying members as they can't use the toilets, so I go and have a chat with her and ask her to not lock the door as that would inconvenience others and it's really only for paying members. She says okay, and complies a couple of times, but then goes back to her old habits again. After several more chats to no effect by me, our VP heard of the situation and decided to have a more stern talk with her just before she starts heading into the shower. Basically straight up to her, she cannot use our facilities anymore, she's not a paying member, and no one else is taking advantage of the place like she is. Do not bring your laptop, do not shower here, do not ask to use our kitchen, this is not your house, in very simple English but forceful. She blows up, saying I never talked to her about this and I shouldn't have gotten a white guy to talk down to her, unbeknown to her that was our VP. This is not fair, you need to compensate me, you are being bullies. Why you need to have this white man talk to me? Me, I've asked you a number of times and you still keep abusing customer-only privileges. What compensation? You've been using our facilities for months and we haven't asked you to pay entry. My husband has diabetes so he needs to exercise and I need to come with him. Me, great, no problem with him coming to play, you can watch him but don't inconvenience other paying members. They storm off, she mumbles some obscenities as they head out, and the wife hasn't been back since. In the end the husband came back by himself for a few more months with no problems, and eventually stopped coming too. The next one is titled, Dodgy Landlord. I and my husband have rented an apartment about 1.5 years ago and now just as our contract is about to finish the gas water heater broke. Our contract states that tenants are only responsible for repairing damages caused to the landlord on purpose and by neglect or other carelessness. This wasn't the case, it's a 17-year-old gas water heater that broke on its own. We just bought an apartment and let the landlord know a few weeks ago we are leaving in 3 months, so he's a bit sour because he thought we were going to buy his apartment because he told us he wanted to sell it, that was the main reason why we are leaving. So he proceeded to say he wouldn't pay for the repair, it was our responsibility. I told him no, and said it didn't even make sense for us to pay for the repair of a 17-year-old equipment that we used for less than 1.5 years, especially because we're about to leave and wouldn't even use it for that long after. He laughed and said we could very well buy a new one and take it with us when we leave. The thing is, in my country gas water heaters are mostly inside a kitchen cabinet, and you can sell a fully equipped kitchen with built-in kitchen appliances without a water heater. It's a thing that most buyers have to buy, so our landlord knows he wouldn't have a problem selling the house without it, because people aren't expecting for it. I took a long breath and told him, okay, so you're saying that even though the contract states we are not responsible for this kind of stuff, you still want us to take care of it? And it's okay for us to get rid of the old equipment, buy a new one and take the new one with us when we leave? He said yes. So I proceeded to tell him I was about to buy a new built-in fridge freezer too, because the one in the apartment wasn't working well, the fridge doesn't get cold enough and the freezer is making so much ice that I have trouble opening the drawers and sometimes can't even close the door without having to scrape the ice with a plastic spatula, and I would get rid of the old one. Of course he said no, because he couldn't sell a fully equipped kitchen without a fridge. He ended up asking me if I could manage to use that fridge freezer till I leave and he would pay for the water heater repair that same day. The last one is titled, Ordering McDonald's Products at the Burger King Drive-Thru. No problems. So I used to work the drive-thru late nights at Burger King on Friday and Saturday nights. We had plenty of drunk smart asses come through asking for McDonald's products like Big Macs and Quarter Pounders with cheese. Being a teenager that ate at both McDonald's and Burger King regularly, I knew what was in each burger from each of the restaurants. And being Burger King, you could customize your burger, so when someone came through the Burger King drive-thru asking for McDonald's products, if it was possible, I would customize their Burger King burger to McDonald's specifications and ingredients as much as possible. A typical occurrence: me, Burger King Cannington, please place your order when you are ready. Some drunk smartass, yeah mate, I'll get a Big Mac meal, and a double Quarter Pounder with cheese. Snickering, me, sure, large or regular for that Big Mac meal? Smartass, large please. Me, sure, large Big Mac meal and a double quarter pounder with cheese, that's $XX, please drive forward to the second window. I would then do a double junior burger with cheese, minus tomato, ketchup and mayo, add ranch sauce, closest thing to special sauce we had, add an extra 4 inches bun, we just threw away the extra top, but this made it the same 3 pieces of bread a Big Mac has, and it was accounted for properly in the till and ingredients. For the double quarter pounder with cheese, it would be a double Whopper with cheese, heavy cheese, plain, add onion, pickle, ketchup and mustard. Again, properly accounted for in the till and ingredients. Thanks for listening.